When an entire classroom full of students disappeared in 1988, no one could believe it. It was a mystery that bewildered the nation as its children disappeared for almost 40 years, until a woman came forward, Sophie Ryder, a woman who claimed to have been part of the class the day they went missing. She promised to tell the chilling story of their disappearance, and something happened that no one could have expected. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. It was a Tuesday in April in 1988 when Mr. Hemington led his students into the woods for a geography lesson. He thought it was a great day to look at the blooming flora and fauna, saying that real knowledge can often be gained outside the classroom through real-life experiences. He had no idea that this would become a huge mistake. The students were enjoying the nice weather, so when the clock struck 3, the entire school was in a panic. Everyone wondered where Mr. Hemington and the children had gone. Principal Clarkson was the first to call the police. Not wanting to get their hopes up that they were simply too late, he decided it was better to be safe than sorry. After giving the police the details of where Mr. Hemington might have gone, 2 officers went out to search for them. But it seemed all in vain. After a few weeks, everyone gave up, fearing the worst. How could a group of 23 children and a teacher just disappear here? It was a mystery that many feared would never be solved. Symbolic funerals were held because no remains were found, nothing of the children, except that lonely ribbon. When strange stories began to circulate, parents, family members, and loved ones never reconciled with their children. Folk tales began to appear, saying that during the full moon, babies could be heard crying. The townspeople's imaginations went wild, until Sophie Ryder showed up. No one recognized her as she walked the streets, but how could they? And the others had been missing for almost 35 years. She was unrecognizable, as she was now in her 40s. She had never even seen her mother that age. She didn't even notice all the stares she received because she didn't think twice about the weird rags she was wearing. But to the onlookers it was very strange indeed. Mayhem, Sophie said to a woman walking past her. The woman seemed surprised by Sophie's sudden words but remained polite. Yes, she said hesitantly. Where's the police station? Sophie asked, thinking that would be a great place to end this whole adventure she had been on, if you could even call it that. Sophie pressed forward, staring at the police station before her, a beacon of hope in this unknown world. Upon entering the police station, Sophie's outdated clothes and disheveled appearance attracted curious and skeptical glances from officers and civilians alike. Officers stopped talking, and civilians watched as Sophie headed to the front desk, determined to be heard. She stood there, anachronistic against the digital displays and uniformed officers. With every officer and civilian within earshot, Sophie began to recount the events of that fateful day in 1988, drawing listeners deeper into the mystery with each word. Sophie gathered her courage and told the police her story, claiming that she was the child who disappeared in 1988. She spoke seriously, her voice steady despite the incredulous stares. Sophie's account of the day she disappeared filled the room, questioning the boundaries of belief. Whispered discussions among the officers wondered about the authenticity of Sophie's incredible story. They gathered in corners, stealing glances at her, debating what might be true. The idea of a child returning after decades in an unchanged state strained credibility. But Sophie stood firm, her story unwavering amidst the growing murmurs of disbelief. Sophie's frustration grew as she realized her words were falling on incredulous ears. Her plea for understanding seemed to echo unanswered in a room now divided by skepticism and hope. The situation changed when the police commissioner, intrigued by Sophie's claim, stepped in to assess the situation. The boss approached Sophie with cautious curiosity. The police chief, drawn to the commotion, noticed a significant frayed ribbon in Sophie's hand. His eyes narrowed, recognizing the faded material. Sophie held it in front of her as she waited. The boss's interest deepened visibly, marking a key moment in their interaction. He reached out, gently taking the ribbon from Sophie and turning it over in his hands. Sophie's story found a moment of confirmation when the boss connected the ribbon to the initial search in 1988. He recalled the frantic efforts to find the missing classroom and how that particular ribbon became a symbol of the unsolved mystery. The boss invited Sophie to his office for a private conversation as he prepared to delve into old case files. The room was silent except for the sound of the door closing behind them. The boss motioned for Sophie to sit down while he pulled a dusty folder out of the cabinet. The police chief recalled his time as a search officer in 1988, recognizing the significance of the ribbon. Sophie shared her harrowing experience, describing the day the ribbon was found and how it became a haunting reminder of an unsolved case. The boss compared Sophie's ribbon to one found during his search, sensing a deep connection. The identical initials on the ribbon served as undeniable evidence, lending the first element of physical credibility to Sophie's story. The boss, now holding both ribbons, turned to Sophie with a new look in his eyes. Encouraged by his newfound trust, the chief asked about the fate of the other survivors, taking a step toward discovering the truth. Sophie hesitated, weighed down by the weight of memories. Then she began to tell the story of her classmates, her words slow but measured. The chief listened intently, piecing together the fragments of the story Sophie told, each detail a thread in the larger tapestry of their ordeal. Sophie revealed the loss of the professor and the survival of several individuals, painting a grim picture of their ordeal. Sophie's account of their survival evokes a mixture of hope and determination to help other survivors. He stands there, calling and giving orders, his determination clear. The team around him is motivated by the chance to reunite survivors with their families after so long. The logistical challenge of rescuing the others becomes apparent as Sophie notices a small exit that only she could get through. She explains the difficulties of the terrain and the narrow paths leading to their shelter. The chief takes notes, his mind working on solutions to overcome these obstacles. Although disoriented, is determined to act. Calling in specialized rescue teams to cope with the difficult conditions, he orders the mobilization of experts equipped to handle the treacherous terrain. The chief oversees the assembly of equipment and the briefing of teams, emphasizing the need for precision and caution. Community involvement is growing, and specialized teams are coming together to assist in the effort, underscoring the importance of the operation. Sophie's story becomes a beacon of hope, motivating a collective effort to bring the survivors back to safety. But her courage and the prospect of reuniting missing students with their families inspire all involved. The reporters and journalists flock to the police station, wanting to capture every detail of the unfolding drama. Cameras and microphones are everywhere, and media outlets are scrambling for interviews and updates. At the rescue site, Sophie points out a small hidden cave entrance, emphasizing the daunting reality of the operation. The rescue team gathers around, focusing on assessing the entry point. The team works diligently to ensure safe entry into the cave, closing in on the survivors. One by one, the survivors are brought to the surface, their emergence a testament to the resilience and success of the daring rescue operation. Every face, though tired, glows with the joy of freedom. The cheers and tears mix in the air as families come together, embracing loved ones they feared to lose. After the rescue is complete, Sophie begins to detail their harrowing experience, starting with the unexpected appearance of a bear during their hike. She describes the panic when the bear appeared and how their laughter turned to screams. Her teacher, thinking quickly, led them to a nearby cave, seeking shelter from the approaching threat. This decision, made in moments of fear, would forever change the course of their lives. She recounts how their teacher led them to the safety of a cave that later collapsed, sealing their fate underground. The collapse was sudden, a cascade of rock and dust blocking their exit. In those first moments, disbelief and fear gripped them, the reality of their situation sinking in. They were trapped with no way out, and their hopes rested on a slim chance of rescue. Sophie describes their adaptation to life underground, using abandoned miners' supplies and the cave's natural resources to survive. They found old mining equipment, remnants of a bygone era, that became crucial to their daily existence. Water seeped from the cave walls and they discovered edible mushrooms. Their will to live transformed the cave from a prison into a home. Demonstrating their incredible resilience and ingenuity, they managed to survive in the darkness, relying on the whispering water and the meager resources of the cave. This testament to their survival skills underscores not only their ability to adapt but also the strength of their spirit against all odds. The community listens in awe to Sophie's story of survival and adaptation, revealing a remarkable testament to human resilience. The story resonates, bridging the gap between the unimaginable reality of the survivors and the outside world, now united in awe and relief. Other survivors confirm Sophie's story, adding details about the professor's death and the resting places of those who died from disease. Their voices, though tinged with sadness, reinforce the narrative of survival. And this story, which they now share with the world, is a powerful testament to the human capacity for hope and resilience in the face of insurmountable odds. The reunion with families brings a deeply emotional moment, where loved ones are reunited after decades apart. In the spacious hall, survivors enter the arms of their waiting families. Tears and smiles mingle in a scene of pure joy. News outlets and social media are abuzz with discussion about the survivors' incredible journey. Schools and communities are holding meetings to share their stories, inspiring others with their unwavering courage and the power of hope in overcoming unimaginable challenges. Community support for survivors and their families underscores the powerful bonds of humanity and compassion. The story of the survivors, etched into the heart of the community, inspires people around the world. Their letters and messages of support pour in, each one a testament to the impact their story has had on the world. Survivors, once isolated in darkness, now shine as beacons of hope, their legacy a reminder of the resilience rooted in the human spirit.